You would do that to
someone I love. Yes. Mr. Shore, I can imagine that you, of all people, would understand that sometimes an objective is more important than personal feelings.
Don't give me that, you sick fucking monster. Let's not pretend that you don't already know that Jacob told me everything about the way that you treated him. So it'd be no surprise to me that, in spite of saying how much you love him, you would...
Don't you ever try to tell me what I do and do not feel. You say that as though I killed him. I didn't. I could never. I have no qualms about killing his new boyfriend, though.
Boyfriend? Wait a minute. You seem to have a couple of things confused. I'm just a friend of Jacob's.
Then why the hell are you even...
Okay, you apparently missed the part of social interaction where friends care about other friends. Besides, this is both business and personal. You are still a criminal.
You know what? None of this actually matters. Point of the situation. I have what I need. I'm leaving. Get in my way, and you die.
Pretty sure Boon's gonna be pissed about all this.
I went through all of that because Boon is essentially saying that it's okay for him to be this venomous against Sladester because he's been this venomous against other people before.
No, I'm not. I even admit that some people are likely to feel that I went too far, but I'm saying that I have a very good reason to be this venomous. You know, for someone whose research involved a video where I expressly call out somebody for literally putting words in my mouth, you sure are doing a lot of the figurative variety, especially considering how punchable your face already is.
However, even ignoring the fact that doesn't logically follow, he was not that venomous against two of those people, and the one person he was that venomous against was in entirely different circumstances.
And here's the commonality in all those circumstances that you missed. In the case of Alexander Kayford, I was harsh even before the clip you played, but I became much more harsh after explaining the reason of it being criticism evolving to the point of being an outright personal attack beyond reasonability. With Desolator Magic, I got harsher when he threatened legal action. I was civil in my other two videos because he didn't outright attack anybody, but notice how harsh I got when he went on the offensive. It's almost like that's what the pattern is. Then we get to Corey. In my second video on him, I was a little more harsh, but didn't go fully in on him because he was simply doing a bad job of refuting my points in particular. And I'm not going to go back over what happened after that. There's a whole chapter for it. Just saying. The fact that you can see what happened in 2016 and somehow call Corey the one who came out on top in that discussion proves to me how few brain cells you actually have. And you present with all the fucking traits, including your complete and utter inability to make a point beyond spouting meaningless buzzwords.
What the fuck buzzwords did he spew? What the fuck are you talking about? You've never used the word buzzword once throughout the rest of this commentary. You're pulling these points out of your ass.
Yes, because I have to have actively called them buzzwords verbally in order for them to be buzzwords. This is a summary, and a summary can use truncated language to tie together things I said in more detail with different words in the video. That's why it's called final thoughts. if we even go back to the insulted example, for one, you claim that it's poor word choice, right? So why would he make that word choice in the first place? Simple. Because it sounds good to say it that way. Saying that something is a fact, not an opinion, is also a buzzword, even though it's, technically speaking, multiple words, as another example. Like, the point is that he's saying things that sound like they have meaning, but they really don't, in place of argumentation. Quit getting pissy over the fact that I'm making a YouTube video for entertainment and not an academic paper, by the way. And I know what you're thinking. Wouldn't the word buzzword be a buzzword in and of itself in the way that I'm using it? Just a word being used to attract attention, even though the substantive quality of using it is diminished? Technically, yes, but the implication here is that someone is using a buzzword as a replacement for argumentation, whereas I'm using the buzzword as part of my argumentation. What I'm saying here is, at the very least, the majority of what Slater is saying doesn't have substance, and is just words that sound good. Me using a buzzword or two in making that point because I'm making a video for entertainment is not hypocrisy in this regard, because there's still meaning behind my statements that I am explaining, even if that word itself isn't the entire explanation. I'm also using buzzwords specifically because of the fact that it goes with my BuzzFeed joke, which you decide to separate, even though you don't have a separate point about it. Even though, you know, if you were talking about the entire statement and actually played it all together, it actually would make your argument look better. It still would be wrong, but it would actually look more correct, because the buzzword being attached to the BuzzFeed joke actually makes it sound like I'm only saying it because it sounds good. So you're kind of doing propaganda wrong too. With a lack of self-awareness reserved for the driest of BuzzFeed articles with half the vocabulary. You call people spouting Among Us memes scum, and yet you keep responding to them because I'm guessing you find that concept pretty fucking relatable, whether it be because you can relate to being a pile of shit yourself, or because hearing the word imposter makes you cringe because it reminds you of how artificial your human existence is. Did you just, not have a point here? You're playing whole ass paragraphs with no response whatsoever at this point. Hello? In a sense, I am impressed. Because you can find a way of saying absolutely fucking nothing while still having words spew from your mouth like the sewage that it fucking is.
I'm impressed that you managed to make an hour-long commentary on somebody who you just said hasn't said anything. Out of curiosity, do you regularly start arguments with mimes?
The phrase I said was that he was saying nothing while words were coming out of his mouth. Your joke doesn't work because I already said words are coming out, but they don't have meaning. Only the intelligentsia would be so fucking cringe. Some people are going to get onto me for being this harsh, I'm sure, but now's the part where you find out why. I have no advice for you.
We hope you've enjoyed No Moral Theater, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on, everybody, this just in. Apparently having no advice for a specific person is the same thing as having nothing to say to the audience. I debunked this when Galbanum actually said the words you're implying with this media clip already. Or do you just need to put something here because you're going to play more of my paragraphs while saying absolutely nothing about them? Why? Because I have enough experience with people like you to know that you don't fucking change. You'll provide a lip service to improvement, but will do nothing to change yourself until someone puts you so far under the dirt that you have no choice but to either examine how you got in this hole to begin with, or make the dirt your fucking home. So that's what I'm here to do. Spike you into the fucking ground and see if you can figure it out, because you damn sure ain't even gonna realize something is wrong for as long as you can get back up without having to think too much about it. Oh yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. What a cool guy you are. You even made a video somewhat recently as of scripting where you said you were going to take measures to improve yourself. But yet, what's in that video?
if you're gonna start crapping me, if you're gonna shove bad taste down my throat, Pokemon is overrated. Fact, not an opinion, but a fact. A scientifically proven fact that can never, ever be debated or argued.
That's proof right there. That it is at the core of who you are. You are fucking corrupted by hatred, malice, and spite.
I wish to remind you all, this is about a man who made some mediocre Among Us rants and was kind of arrogant on the internet.
And repeating exact talking points of a man that started a full harassment campaign against me, right down to calling me out by name, thus showing that he's still using these talking points, showing that he still follows this line of thinking, thus why I told Galbanum already that the hatred, malice, and spite that Slatester was corrupted by was Corey himself. I even stated at the beginning that I couldn't give context because what I was covering in the video was the context. It's almost like the Among Us rant was the canary in the coal mine.
Ah! Fuck! Jacob! Relax, don't get up. Okay. Doesn't look like anything too serious, luckily. How are you feeling?
Where is he?
I saw he went that way down the road. You need to relax. We're not chasing after him like this. You were right about how dangerous he is. I called for people to pursue. I know.
Hold up. Wait a second. You said that way?
Yes. Jacob, please tell me you're not thinking of going after him after that.
Henry. Fuck. I kinda have to.
Are you kidding? Like shit you do. Jacob, you're probably gonna recover just fine, but you are very clearly hurt.
No. H-Man. That's the way I came from. Which means I gotta go that way to get home. And that's also where my boyfriend is coming from.
Shit. Okay. You stay here. I'll go after him.
Hold up. Nah, Henry,
Jacob, save it. You're in no condition to handle this yourself. I know you want to, but I'm perfectly capable of handling the physical stuff myself if need be, okay?
Fine. But one, just one more thing. Fuck. The god that's with Boon. I know who that is.
Okay. Who is it?
I want to be very clear. My issue is not that Boon is being mean. I've made mean commentaries before. I've liked mean commentaries before. My issue at hand is why Boon is being mean. I simply do not feel like this is a deserved reaction to what Slatester has done.
Yeah, okay. Fine. I did say some people will find my final thoughts too harsh. In the final thoughts. You can downplay why I'm doing that as many ways as you want to do it, but I fucking warned you that's what you were gonna get. This is a criticism I address in the video. Doesn't make what you're saying invalid, but I clearly am not going to agree with it.
Look, maybe it's just that I'm a political blogger and that means I cover things that actually fucking matter.
Fuck you. Are you actually for real? Are you dead ass saying that anything non-political doesn't matter at all? Because, that's the impression I get. Yes, I get that politics are important, but so is trying to get somebody to improve. Slatester's video is about Among Us and vice versa at the end of the day, but I'm trying to deconstruct why the mentalities and behaviors that Slatester presents are unhealthy and toxic. I'm explaining why trying to be the next Cory Margera is not good for him, but it isn't political, so therefore it doesn't matter. You do realize what community you chose to associate with, right? The slideshow commentary community definitely has its political members, but the community as a whole isn't centered around political issues. Why do you think so many people say that we're just a bunch of nerds or argue about Pokemon? Because at the end of the day, ultimately, that's kind of what the SEC is. You've been making slideshow commentaries for not even a year, and truth be told, you've been around this for way too long for you to be getting on your high horse dictating what actually matters and what doesn't. You are not the arbiter of what is an important thing to discuss in this community, nor do you have any right to get onto others for covering things that don't matter when you also cover things that don't matter. Because last time I checked, you didn't come into Tony Sonic's video for racism discussion or Kean Horace's video to talk about equal rights. I don't really care what your overall point is. That sentence alone destroyed all credibility you had going forward, as you presented yourself as this egotist who can't ever get off his high horse because he always thinks he's in the right and can't handle being wrong or having things that go against him. I remember at the beginning of the video, you got onto me for filling my videos with fluff, but not even 10 minutes later, you go on a completely irrelevant side tangent about reviews of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and you drag it out for over 7 minutes. If there's anything I've noticed from your commentaries, it's your insistence on this rules for thee, but not for me mentality. And it ties back to my issue with you getting on your high horse about literally everything ever. How about you actually listen to what people tell you instead of being an overly argumentative jackass who can't seem to take an L to save his life? Now, Ephraim, you might recognize most of the words that I just said to you. And you would be absolutely right to. Because Boonslayer McJr. with Cheesy Potatoes said it to you first. And to be honest, it's probably pretty much exactly how I would have put it, other than the fuck you I added, a couple of words changed here and there, maybe cut out some stuff that are points I said elsewhere in the video, but I chose not to here because I want to make this a 12-hour video and it's funny. And of course, to set up the fact that you responded to this, let's break that down.
Are you deadass saying that anything non-political doesn't matter at all? No, I'm saying that as a political blogger, I cover important topics, not that only things I cover are important.
But your statement implies that what I cover does not matter. We'll get more into this topic later, but by bringing up the fact that being a political blogger, that means that the subject matter you cover in your blog matters, and what people who aren't political bloggers cover doesn't. Again, I'm gonna debunk this more thoroughly, so, just be patient.
I don't care what your overall point is. That sentence alone destroyed all credibility you had going forward, as you presented yourself as this egotist who can't ever get off his high horse because he thinks he's always in the right and can't handle being wrong or having things that go against him. Okay, I just don't get the connection here. If you thought the statement was douchey, I fully understand. But how is it egotistical?
Because you are putting the thing that you do on a higher pedestal of importance above the thing that another person does. Remember when you said I was calling myself smarter than people because the games I play require you to think? Same concept, only in this case, these are the words you're actually saying that do this. You are telling the audience your work is more important than mine directly, rather than what I did, said something that it was possible to infer meant that, even though that was nowhere close to my intent.
I wasn't saying I was always right regarding the topics I cover. I was saying the topics I cover on Medium are ones that are of greater importance than the one Boon does. Tons of political commentaries are terribly wrong. Fuck, you may even think I'm one of them. But that does not make the topics covered any less important.
Okay, but go back to what you said about me. I wasn't saying I was winning at strategy games, but I did say that strategy games require more thought than Sonic does. Whether you win the fights you're fighting isn't relevant to the ego of saying your fights are a bigger deal than anyone else's. I like how this is actually contradicting one of the first points you made against me now.
Edit. Upon rereading this, I think you might have been saying that I was trying to make myself sound important because I cover important topics. Which also doesn't follow. Fuck, I've told people to not worry about how much they matter or how important they are because I find the notion to be a silly one.
Okay, but you just use the importance of your subject matter as a point in a commentary. So your logic does not follow. You also don't explain why it doesn't follow to think calling what you do important is calling yourself important, because it sure does seem to track to me. Other than the fact that we're all disposable bags of meat that one day will die, be absorbed into the earth, and feed the worms below us that we deceive ourselves into believing we are above, I don't really get how calling what you do important and who you are important aren't at the very least linked.
Excuse me, I think you mean that most of you are disposable bags of meat?
Okay, I legitimately forgot you were here.
Hey, when I said I didn't want you to have any distractions, I was very much including myself in that.
I remember at the beginning of the video, you got onto Boon for filling his videos with fluff, but not even 10 minutes later, you go on a completely irrelevant side tangent about reviews of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and you drag it out for over 7 minutes. I was making the point that Sonic 1 could not be considered a simple game where all you do is run fast. It took that long to make because I had a lot of information I wanted to use to prove my point.
Most of which was you playing unnecessarily long media clips, and the vast majority of that could be proven to go against what you were saying about me in a single fucking sentence. Most of the time from elsewhere in the video you're showing. Hell, you would have been better off not playing the clips, especially since you include a whole document with your sources in the description of the video. Oh, wait, that's right. You didn't actually watch your sources. Otherwise, you would know that they go against you elsewhere in those exact same videos.
As I said in this same commentary, my issue with Boon was not that he had long interjections, but I didn't feel he was adding enough information to make those interjections worth their length.
And what Umbra said in that same comment, the 7 minutes you spend proving this point is a side tangent because of how much you focus on reviews saying that levels exist. In other words, saying the same thing over and over again. Even if you wanted to prove it, one clip of one reviewer showing Labyrinth Zone would have been fine, as more evidence that does the exact same thing is you repeating yourself. Which you got onto me for doing.
If you thought the point was dragged out, then that's fine. But there's a difference between dragging out a point because you added more information that might be required, which I have never gotten onto commentators for doing, and spending 20 minutes of a movie on rock climbing. As for your overall point, you're putting words in my mouth.
No, she's not. She's talking about the way the words you said make you look like.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what I'm doing here in the STC really isn't all that important. I don't do it for importance. I do it because I find it fun, and there are people who enjoy it.
But we're not talking about if you think your videos are important. We're talking about the fact that you think your political blogging is more important. It kind of just makes it worse, really. I don't do this for importance either. I can do important things with this medium, but it's not the reason I'm here. I find doing this fun. I find the characters fun. I find playing up the anger fun. People enjoy what I do. That's why I channel any sort of anger I feel into something that comes out as a creative product rather than a gibbering mess. So if I'm having fun in a different way than you, why even bring up that you're a political blogger other than to hold your self-perceived importance over my head?
I've also written non-political stuff on Medium, and I never act like that is nearly as important as my political work.
But you didn't talk about that. You said, I'm a political blogger. You're specifically talking about the importance of your political blogging. Not any other kind of blogging, just the political one.
For that matter, since you mentioned Pokemon, I've played several Pokemon games in the past, and I don't think my goals in them are as important as my goals in the political world. I can enjoy doing something and realize it's probably a waste of time in the grand scheme of things. That's not impossible.
Right, but again, that's not what you highlighted while trying to tell me how to make my videos. And you know what? I know that I cut you off mid-sentence, but it really doesn't matter. You're using your own self-importance as evidence in your video, and that is quite frankly enough to make all of the points against you that I've been making for the past couple of pages. You know what? I'll even play and debunk the full sentence for you.
I simply do not feel like this is a deserved reaction to what Sladester has done. Look, maybe it's just that I'm a political blogger and that means I cover things that actually fucking matter. However, the notion of talking to somebody like this because of, again, making some mediocre rants on video games just strikes me as pathetic. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that sound condescending? Good. It sounds like I'm condescending you, because I fucking am.
And now, you know, this might just be me being a little bitch. I doubt it, but it might be me being a little bitch. But what it sounds like there is you admitting to using this statement as a means to be condescending. So what I was saying about you putting yourself on a pedestal, that's your intent. The proof is right in your video. You are stating right here that you're calling yourself more important. So fuck off trying to weasel your way around saying that you're not. If anything, anger is far worse of a tool to use in a political discussion than in a discussion concerning personal harassment. That's why I don't often use it when talking about things that are political or sociological, which I know you didn't say, but sociological and political discourse are often discussed as though they're the same thing. You know, because of the metic mutation of what is and is not political. Then I'm assuming that's what you meant. And I actually do that. Namely, when I was covering Misanthropony's attributing every single problem he had with the movie to feminism, and me pointing out why that didn't make sense and why he was basically bashing a work of fiction because he doesn't like the author, all while disproving the idea of how much of Kathleen Kennedy's feminist viewpoint was bleeding into the Star Wars franchise. And you would have already known that I did that. The final version of that video came out a month before yours did. But hey, maybe you're not interested in watching an 8-hour video. I know Misanthropony wasn't when he just put my logo in connection to talking points I explicitly disagreed with. Only reason I didn't address him is because I learned from the Corey situation that engaging with that kind of crap is just gonna spiral. Case in fucking point.
You're a dime a dozen blowhard with a microphone and no sense of proportionality.
Dime a dozen, huh? Well, that's rich coming from the alt-CC cuckdoll that finally got to be a real boy when he wished on the Doodle Tones fart cloud he'd been chasing with a lighter for 5 years prior. Seriously, you call that an insult? My grandmother could come up with better shit than that, and she's been dead since 2005.
And I've been sitting here for months thinking about what exactly I would say. But truth be told, I don't really feel like there's much more I could. I could repeat that 5 fucking times like you constantly feel the need to, but it's not worth it.
So, you want to start taking shots, and then take your finger off the trigger after you miss the first one. Hey, DNA, what do we call that?
Rookie mistake! Rookie mistake! Rookie mistake! Rookie mistake!
Funny how I'm a dime a dozen, you still couldn't afford half the clout I get for wiping my ass in the morning. The fuck that make you, a nickel for 90? Nah, still too rich for your blood. And look, just because you get knocked down by a light breeze doesn't mean that anybody can do it as a blowhard. And for my sense of proportionality, yeah, let's talk about that. What percentage of my video did you cover? And why did you skip more than 50% of it? Oh, yeah, that's right, because you didn't have a problem with those parts. So, remind me how my whole video was wrong again, Mr. Proportionality? Get the fuck on with your broke ass!
Instead, I just want to say that this would barely be understandable on the condition you were actually right. However, given how wrong you were over the course of this commentary, this comes off less like an epic takedown and more like a case study in the Dunning-Kruger effect.
But you didn't prove me wrong. You just proved that you have no media literacy. You've been told about your misinterpretations of media by... let me check my notes here. Everyone. You've been told this was a problem. And in case you can't tell, I'm done being nice about it.
However, unlike you, I'm actually going to give you some advice. You see, I've seen other commentaries of yours. Now, you usually don't cover topics that interest me, but from what I have seen, they're pretty good. For that matter, I want to make it very clear that I have essentially everything I'm about to criticize you for, and far more, and have had to work on that in the past. So I completely sympathize. Truth be told, this video strikes me as somebody just finding an idiot and wanting to commentate on them, thinking it will be easy because, hey, the person's an idiot.
If that's the case, then why did I wait when I said I'd been considering covering the original Among Us rant in the first place? I specifically said I considered covering it and originally decided not to. So clearly, if I thought it would be easy, then I wouldn't have waited for him to bring my name into it. I would have just done it. I was also able to approach someone who isn't a regular Among Us player, but also as someone who comes from a particular side of gaming, that particular side of gaming, so was already exposed to the culture around Among Us that predates its popularity. I didn't need to wait if I wanted something easy to cover, if that's actually the approach I was taking.
Now, this isn't me saying you were lazy, but this is me saying that you just didn't put much thought into this commentary because you didn't think the person you were covering needed much thought to disprove.
Oh, no. This isn't you saying I'm lazy. It's you saying I'm this specific form of lazy. Fuck yourself.
Again, it's a mistake I've made 1,000,000 times, so I'm not going to fault you for making it once.
But it's what you've been doing this whole time, though. Especially since you're going to call this the worst commentary of 2022 at the end of this video. And sure, maybe you're not specifically faulting me for what you perceive as underestimating the material's complexity. But since it's your advice to, I presume, tell me not to do that, then you clearly think it's enough of a mistake for me to need to change it.
Aside from that, I'd also again recommend getting a better sense of proportionality. You shouldn't be talking like this to somebody who made a mediocre video game rant. I don't care how annoying they are.
I'm just gonna repeat what I said earlier, since based on your argumentation, you have too much bullshit in your ears to understand what I say the first time, and for literally no other reason. You skipped over half the video. I was highlighting a pattern of someone doing the same thing over and over again in spite of saying they have changed, while showing how that is a lie. The reason it is corruption is because the thing that is causing them to repeat this behaviors has not gone away. That is his simping for Cory Margera, making him unable to discard the toxic behaviors associated with that community. Honestly, the thing I thought was going to give me shit for being too harsh was the line about his existence being artificial, but apparently that's fine? No. It's the fact that I used a word that means that something has been made worse because of an outside influence to tell someone they've been made worse because of an outside influence. I mean, then again, Maybe it's because you're a political blogger and are used to people using the word corrupt, specifically in relation to dishonest behavior, and in more extreme circumstances that you lack the proportionality to understand that word having a less extreme meaning.
If this is your definition of corrupted, which I should note is already an overdramatic term, then you've had a pretty damn easy life. I'm just telling you that right now.
Not to be the other guy people keep calling me too much here, but, Ephraim, how old are you? Not really old enough to have grown up in the 90s, I'm pretty sure, especially not, you know, the entirety of the decade. You're talking to a guy that was diagnosed with ADHD and PDD because people didn't really fully understand how autism worked yet. You from the South? I doubt it. You know why it took me 30 years to come out of the closet? Because I was told that people get hanged for being gay when I was in elementary school, and ever since I've become openly gay even, I've been called so many F-slurs that I was expected to just take with a smile, and I had so many people screaming Leviticus at me that I lost count. Not that I bothered starting anyway, when I knew that it was going to happen. I went straight from my high school graduation to my last grandparents' funeral. I was tortured so thoroughly in middle school, I ended up having nightmares so bad that skinning my knee on a basketball court gave me PTSD flashbacks, and wound up finishing middle school in a mental health center where one of my classmates beat me with a pool cue and I was the one who got punished. They would later beat me with a 2x4 and I was the one who got punished. I got death threats from serving tiny burgers out of a drive-through window and was told by my boss to get over it because it's normal. And that's just the shit I remember, given how much of my childhood is blocked from my memory, either that or gone after I was nearly killed by a car when I was 17. Or, apparently I didn't know about this, but my mom sure did, 3. Don't tell me how hard my life is, you raggedy ass spoiled little bitch who wouldn't know suffering if it was a Taco Bell manager yelling at you for needing to leave for the funeral of the only real father figure you've ever had in your life. Fuck you!
I don't think you're a bad commentator. I don't think you're a bad person.
I don't believe you. I don't know how else to put this, but considering how heinous some of the stuff you actually said is, someone like me who is known for catching people hiding ill intent, I just don't believe you, at least not for around when this video came out. And truthfully, there's a benefit of the doubt I would be able to give you here that you just missed the mark. Maybe some things here and there where really your whole perception of the video was skewed by not liking the final thoughts, but, well, context is important. So I've mentioned Galbanum once or twice, the person who called me a mental abuser in the video I covered in Boon Canon 52. Now, his video did actually occur before this video as well, and was something Ephraim was already saying he didn't fully agree with. I made my joke about Daddy Ephraim, which you seem to take as a compliment for some reason, for a reason. And that reason is part of the reason Galbanum made that video. It's because you told him about not liking it. The only thing he said that you didn't was to call me a mental abuser out loud. I mean, the implications of me being ableist, the downplaying of how much I'm covering because of other things being more important, the complete ignorance of the fact that Sladester is the one who brought me into it. There's really two things you do differently. Sure, you have things to say that Galbanum didn't, primarily involving completely butchering what my point and therefore debunking my evidence on a level that has no weight in relation to that point, or getting on to me for repeating what my target said half a minute prior when you yourself forget what they said 10 seconds before. But it's mostly the same video, only longer and honestly better, mostly because of the fact that you have enough tact to not say the quiet part out loud. Which, while that could be because you don't believe the quiet part, it could also be because you saw how people reacted to that and left it on the cutting room floor. But let me be fair again. You don't stand by at least some parts of this. After all, you definitely don't stand by it being the worst commentary of 2022. When you made that list, you put this lower than number one. But let's talk about where you put it.